Okay, we've got a lot to talk about today. Let me first start off by saying welcome back. I know it's been a couple of weeks till I last recorded, and since the whole copyright mess up, the state of this channel has been foggy. Well, I'm here to tell you this channel isn't going anywhere, nor this podcast. I have some new ideas starting, and I think it'll be fun. Also, we have a long-time awaited guest, Nick Novotny, back on the show. Before I introduce him, I first wanted to tell you what I think about the hashtag CNN blackmail story. But before I even do, we first need to get to the root of the hashtag. It all starts with Donald J. Trump, who figured. Trump has always been known to say outlandish statements or outbursts on Twitter that seems like a toddler dropped his ice cream. It wasn't ice cream, though, but a tweet. A funny one at that. On July 2nd, Trump tweeted out a 30-second video showing him at WrestleMania taking down a man with the logo of CNN photoshopped on his head. When I first saw this, I thought it was a hoax, fake account, but then I saw the check mark next to the account, and at first I was speechless. I started laughing, taking it as it was, a joke. Nothing more, nothing less. You see, for those who have been listening to the show since the beginning, I've always talked about taking statements at face value, either from video games taking place in World War II, Kathy Griffin holding up a decapitated head of Donald Trump, or Bill Maher calling himself a household N-word. Freedom of speech is the essence and core of America and our Constitution. It's what gives us free will, thought, and action to say whatever comes to mind. It's what gives me the ability to record this podcast right now. What Donald Trump did was childish, but funny. It's what his supporters want and voted for. In all honesty, it shows that he won't change even if he's in Washington and acting president. I think his voters will eat this up and delve down deeper into Trump's message of hashtag fake news and hashtag FNN. Later that day, CNN made a statement talking about the horrendous tweet Trump made. Oh, the terror. This is CNN's response. Quote, "It is a sad day when the President of the United States encourages violence against reporters. Clearly, Sarah Huckabee Sanders lied when she said the President has never done so. Instead of preparing for his overseas trip, his first meeting with Vladimir Putin, dealing with North Korea, and working on his healthcare bill, he is involved in juvenile behavior far below the dignity of his office. We will keep doing our jobs. He should start doing his." End quote. Let me emphasize one key phrase out of that speech. Quote, "President of the United States encourages violence against reporters." End quote. I didn't know CNN was a reporter. How come I haven't seen articles, columns, opinion pieces written by this reporter named CNN? Oh yeah, because CNN isn't a reporter. It's a news outlet, one that is left-leaning and is about to tilt over to SJW land. What this statement shows is CNN's forcefulness to make the president look violent when he isn't. He isn't calling for the death of reporters, he is simply making a joke, knowing that his supporters will gobble it up and have a chuckle. But even when Sargon Assad, what's her name? Harsi Ali makes a statement calling for the jihad of Trump's office, that isn't called violence against office. But anyway, I digress. Knowing that his supporter... Oh, wait. Got there. All right. When I was scrolling through the comments on Twitter, I saw so many, quote, this isn't funny. This is serious, frightening, and dangerous, calling for the death of reporters, or better yet, calling for the death of journalism altogether, end quote. You see what I'm getting at here. The left is over-exaggerating more than they should. They create problems where there aren't any to be found. Most Americans, a centrist like myself, saw the tweet and moved on with my day. When the left and SJW saw this tweet, they over-exaggerated, thinking it was more than it was. Once we ignore the left, they'll start taking in their own echo. They'll start talking in their own echo chamber, and the bubble will grow bigger and bigger until it bursts with no steam left. This is what I found so troubling with the left. Once being the center of free thought and expression, has now been consumed to silencing and threatening meme and gif makers like Pepe the Frog. Wait, Grant, you're telling me the left is trying to censor people? But it can't possibly be CNN. A news outlet wouldn't do that, would they? Don't be ridiculous. Oh wait, they have. Stay tuned to find out the rest of CNN blackmail story and much more. Let's rant. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Grant's Rants Season 1 finale. It's been a long time coming. We started the show back in February. Yeah, December. Yeah, it was actually December. And so this is season 1 finale. I just thought we would end the show the way we started the show with Nick being here. So, Nick, if you got anything to say, introduce yourself.
Hi, folks. Glad to be back. Glad to be giving commentary on the best podcast on the net.
I'm Lincoln County. I don't know if there's any more podcasts. Do you think there's any?
There's probably some retiree in his basement.
Probably. All right. We are just going to be talking about basically anything we want. It's going to be mostly political, since that's where Nick and I have like the most chemistry. Talking about politics stuff. So the first story I wanted to talk about was hashtag Pizzagate. For you, those who know Alex Jones and InfoWars, like my friend Elijah Lees himself, InfoWars is home to the Alex Jones Show. This man is a workaholic, conspiracy theorist, and it was actually he got on a interview with Megyn Kelly, who left Fox News because her dislike of Donald Trump, and Fox News was like, "Hey, you don't really like Donald Trump, and we're a conservative, and you got to follow our agenda, so you're gonna leave and go to MSNBC." Or did she go to NBC? Is it MSNBC?
MSNBC.
Okay. Yeah, so she went there, and she had an interview with Alex Jones. A lot of cover-up with it. Alex Jones tried to expose Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly tried to expose Alex Jones with some stuff. It was very weird. And the ratings didn't go that well either for the interview. But anyway, Alex Jones has made conspiracy theories about the chemicals turning frogs gay and transgenders. Sandy Hook story he thought was a total conspiracy, which now he's backpedaled on, seeing how disrespectful and idiotic that conspiracy was. And he also has the conspiracy of 9/11, saying it was an inside job done by Bush or government officials. And he also has the conspiracy theory now of Pizzagate, which was during the 2016 presidential election. Now, what Pizzagate is, I'll give you a brief story before we start talking about it. Nick didn't know that much about it either. But I started looking into it just randomly a couple days ago. And I started looking into Alex Jones because I think he's an interesting fellow. And Pizzagate video popped up. What Pizzagate basically is, there's this pizza joint down in D.C. You guys remember when Anthony Weiner was caught for sending wiener pics to other women on his phone? And his other accomplices, like Pelosi, not Nancy Pelosi, it was like somebody else. But anyway, they were sending text messages to each other with like pizza terminology and stuff, like when are the pizzas coming? I like mine with sausage and things like that. These got leaked by WikiLeaks. And Alex Jones took a part of it and thought that Hillary Clinton had to do something with it because it was part of her campaign. And so, since Anthony Weiner was sending wiener pics to girls, Alex Jones connected it with child sex ring. And that was being done at this pizza place down in D.C. So, yeah, the theory has been countlessly debunked by FBI agents, CIA, but it didn't stop people from going to the pizza joint and start robbing it, throwing bricks at it, harassing people.
Shooting it up.
Yeah. So Alex Jones, he has a lot of work, but none of it has actually turned good or anything. He's just a big blowhorn. I also saw a video, The Young Turks, which is a very, very left. This is almost like, I would say, like communists or like fascist news outlet on YouTube called The Young Turks. And they have a rivalry with InfoWars and Alex Jones. Well, Alex Jones went on their show live broadcast when they were like they're at a convention or something. And then this one girl, I forget her name, she works on the outlet. She said all together like, "You fat F, get off my show right now." So yeah, the left, which is supposed to be preaching equality and peacefulness and non-censorship, are calling Alex Jones a fat piece of S, and are actually telling him to stop talking and everything. So Yes. All right. So Nick, what are your first thoughts of Pizzagate? What did you first think about it when I told you about Pizzagate?
I'd vaguely heard of it, but I hadn't done much research into it. The only real thing I'd heard was when one gentleman went into that pizza shop and actually like fired his assault rifle into the air, claiming he was going to go in and get the kids, and bring the shop to justice. But then, the police showed up and showed him around, and then swiftly took him to prison. He actually just pleaded guilty to, I think, 6 years in prison.
What
5
about,
years.
like on parole?
So, I'm not sure, but I mean, the only thing they have him on is like threatening people with a deadly weapon, that sort of thing. But it's like the highest charge for it. I am surprised by this story, though.
Why do you think InfoWars keeps Alex Jones on? Is it all for the ratings? Because I don't think he's that credible of a reporter.
It is all for the ratings. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's the only way for him to like. It's for him because he's good at getting explosive on his show. That is the only reason. I'm pretty sure people are watching the people who watch InfoWars might be radicals in some way. Most of them probably are. Well, and then the remaining folks are there to laugh at Alex Jones because it's hilarious, the things he will yell out and seem almost definite in what he's saying. I think he's faking it. It's an act.
Well, I remember when his wife was trying to take his kids away from him, right? And his lawyer basically had to say, "Oh, it was all an act."
Yeah.
Right?
He's acting. It's a character.
I don't really think he's acting sometimes. Because we got a breaking story right now. Clinton wants to play a role in the Democrats' 2018 campaign election. Well, if looks like Donald Trump's going to be president then in 2020, because anything with Clinton on it is just a win for the Republicans. That's funny. I hope some of the new Democrats, we're going like completely off the topic right now, but some of the new Democrats, which I'm liking, are trying to kick Pelosi to the side. Nick and I were talking about this yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I think the new Democratic people like myself, I call myself a closet Democrat. And I think if they kick out Pelosi, they kick out Warren, I think they'll actually be able to start grouping our people together. Because the people like myself now is the only party I can align myself with is like conservative and Republican, and like moderate, and like classical liberal I can get down with too. Is because the left now has just turned themselves into this violent censorship. We don't care what you have to say. We're going to vote everything against Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a fascist. He's a racist. He's a rapist. He's a homophobe, even though he's the first president during his campaign to openly support the LGBT community. Well, Obama did. Yeah, not like his first term, okay? But anyway. So take that all into consideration. You actually have a president right now that's more centrist than Republican. So people saying that he's the next Ronald Reagan. Really look at that again. Let's see that, okay? You just want to say Ronald Reagan because you want to feel good about voting for him, okay? And it's the people that are like 70 and 80. And I was reading watch this video. I think it was from CBS News. They went to a Trump. This is before Trump won. And they went to a rally, and they asked people, well, "What do you see in Donald Trump that you like so much?" "Well, I see him as Reagan." "Well, what do you see in him, Reagan?" "Well, he's just Reagan, fellow." Just say that you don't like Clinton and move on with your day. That's the main reason why you're voting for him. Okay. So this is why I think Donald Trump's going to win in 2020, and possibly in 2018 too, with the Senate and being recast and everything. Is because the left has lost 2 elections, with Ossoff losing in Georgia and also in South Carolina. And they're just holding on to this struggle to like the stream where they're saying, well, just don't do it because it's Donald Trump. It's not going to win. It didn't win when Donald Trump won. It didn't win when Ossoff It didn't win when Ossoff lost, and it didn't win in South Carolina. So you just basically saying that you need to vote for me, maybe. Nick asked if we're done with Pizzagate. I'm not sure yet. The Democrats and the left that are just saying you can't vote for Republican because it's associated with Donald Trump, and well, vote for this Democrat because it's not Donald Trump, is not going to work. It didn't work in the presidential. It's not going to work anymore. The Democrats need to change their strategy and start going to the more moderate side. I don't even think the Republicans have gone more moderates. It's just that they're less far right than the Democrats are more because the Democrats are more far left and the Republicans are more far right. So, yeah, I mean that's what I see. So I hope Clinton's just getting out of the woods. She's in her grave. She's scooping out the dirt. Bill Clinton's probably dancing on it with Monica, and she's just trying to dig back into good old D.C. It's not gonna work. Why can't she just leave, get a cabin in like D.C. or something, buy a nice house, go to Texas or something, or go to Montana where it's nice and peaceful, and just enjoy your days with Bill Clinton. You can go mess around with some waitresses while you're home drinking yourself to sleep because you lost against Donald Trump, and just have a good old rest of your life, Clinton. All right, and tell Monica I said hi. All right. So do you think Jones has any credibility with him at all?
No. I think that's pretty easy. He does not have any actual reporting credibility. His show is a show. It's not a news report.
Well, Dave Rubin and like Ben Shapiro and Colin Moriarty and Laura Southern, I see them as like it's a show, like Greg Gutfield, but I see them as credible people though.
Right, but
not
it's
like
not,
Alex Jones.
He's not reporting news.
Neither is like Greg Gutfield. Though.
Sure he is.
Well, it's more of a commentary show. They're just like talking about it. It's not like CBS at night or like.
It's not a news show, but I mean, he's not actually reporting. He's entertaining.
Mm-hmm. I like to have a show like his. That's what I'm going with. It's like my journalism, political sphere. If I can get something in that, have like a show like his. I like to do something like that. Or like even Dave Rubin. He does the Rubin Report on YouTube. He just has interviews with people on like different sides and everything. So you get the left, right, left, far right. You gotta understand them. And Ben Shapiro, I would see that more as a news show. He's telling you the news, telling you his opinion, or as he likes to say, truth and facts. And that's honestly where I get the most news from him. I just got a text message. Recording. All right. What do you think his biggest offense is, Jones? Do you think it's Sandy Hook?
Yes, easily. If he hadn't apologized, he would be in deep legal trouble. In some way, somehow, some jury.
How do you think that got passed by InfoWars for him to like do that? Because I feel like the top heads at InfoWars be like, you can make conspiracy theories about 9/11.
If I was guessing, his ratings were down a little bit. He said one controversial thing, and he got in the news for about a week. And all of a sudden, ratings go back up.
All right. Second topic of the show. What does these new elections mean for the Democrats? I kind of talked about it a little bit. But with Ossoff losing in South Carolina and Georgia, what do you think this means for the Democrats? Are they still riding that losing streak, or are they gonna? Is it all like Republican land now?
They have no message. What do they have to provide a voter with?
We're not Trump.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they have, and that's why the Democratic Party and the media both used. They called the race a referendum on Trump's presidency on his first 3 months. On his first 5 months in office. Is he doing well enough? If John Ossoff wins, the nation must be rebuking Donald Trump.
But Trump isn't doing that. He's not doing that well, though.
That may be true, but the point still stands that that's how they frame the election. Anti-Donald Trump. Not anything else. John Ossoff, just to get up to hit, I think Karen Handel won with 52% of the vote.
It was close.
And he had 49.
It was close.
No, he had, what do you have? He had 48.
It was like
she had
30
42.
votes, I think, or something.
No,
like
it
that.
wasn't 30 votes. It was like 3,000 votes.
Okay.
But it's a big district. But the only reason he got up to that in that district is because he ran on fiscally conservative principles the entire time.
And he had $30 million to back
Yeah,
up his
he had
campaign.
$30 million, like $24 million of which came from outside of his district. Not even that. Came from outside of his state.
Which he
From
wasn't even
Hollywood, the DNC, rich people around the country who are Democrats. That's where most of his money came from. But he had to run on fiscally conservative terms, spending reform, lean welfare, those sort of things. Those are not platform issues of the Democratic Party. He actually wasn't running as a Democrat. He was running as a moderate Republican under a Democratic title in order to win that much. And also, he has no experience. He's a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah.
He didn't even... You tell him.
Yeah. Well, like, he didn't even live in the district.
He couldn't vote.
Yeah, he couldn't vote. There was, like, it's an awesome soundbite of Karen Handel during the debate asking Ossoff who he was going to vote for on election day. And he was, like, silent for a couple seconds. He's like, is that the question? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But Trump got in, like, 5 days before the election. Like, the night before, probably. And he made, like, a tweet saying, Ossoff will raise your taxes and open the borders. Do not vote for him. Vote for Karen Handel. And when Karen Handel won, Donald Trump made the first, like, 3 tweets out of 5 about him than Karen Handel, even though he didn't really help that much. But I think also with, like, I see this parallel with the left and the right now, is that the left is saying anti-Trump, don't vote, but then the right is just saying, Trump says yes, I'm voting. And so I think that's with that. So if you just have Trump's signature approval, then I think any Republican can win.
The right now has a vague message of promised opportunity.
Which they haven't
delivered on yet. The left doesn't have a message right now. They've dealt with identity politics for over a decade, where they've taken specific groups and made those groups attractive to them by pandering to that specific group instead of a people as a whole. They have taken individual communities. In fact, they just call them individual communities. They don't actually say we're just here for the community. They say the so-and-so community, and they've pandered to each individual one. And now it's beginning to blow up, because in some ways they've gotten their way. But what has also happened is they've pitted people against each other so well, and it's created so much disturbance within their own party that they can't have an agreed upon message to go after other than, we don't like Donald J. Trump.
I think that's why we need a third party. That's more of like a moderate sense. But yeah, like the left's message has always been identity politics. Either with black, if you're black, you must be a left. If you're Muslim, you must be left. If you're gay,
if you're a woman, how could you be a woman Republican? Well, maybe because they care about not having to pay so much taxes a year, or actually having a firearm on them to defend themselves.
I saw this funny clip about the legists, like you were saying, they're fighting, like they're pitting themselves against each other. It was during the Pride Month, and there was like a gay pride parade, and there's Black Lives Matter fighting against them, which should, like, theoretically both be on the left side, be working with each other, but you just see the left, like, eating themselves alive, and it's horrible. The right, they don't really have that much of identity politics, but they have a vague message. Is like, what's their message? Well, we want to get Trump care. Well, Trump care is about 1/10 better than Obamacare. Like, it's not that good. And so they're like, well, we got a new Supreme Court judge, and he's a conservative, and, well, they didn't find anything in the Trump hearing against Russia, which is a complete waste of time. Yeah, that's about it. So, like, I think both parties don't really have a clear message, and I think it's the middle that does, where it's wishy-washy. But I think no one in the political spectrum right now has a clear message, because Donald Trump is so new. and kind of revolutionizing. And I think that's why most Americans voted for him, is because he's new, and possibly he can blow this bubble and just reshuffle the cards, and we can start new, start fresh. So that's what I hope what happens, and that's what's happening with Brexit.
I agree
too.
with you.
All right. Let's see. All right, third topic of the show. Is Twitter good or bad? What do you think?
You know, I'm a big Twitter user. It's probably my primary
As am I.
social media presence.
I like Twitter.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it's bad. I'm going to go with bad on this one. Because it's kind of like, it's what Facebook used to be before all the parents got on it and started posting things about God and feeling happy.
Share this if you love Jesus.
That is Facebook now. But Twitter is still where young adults to teenagers are attempting to escape and complain about and cry about their problems, and without mom and dad watching, that sort of thing. I think a lot of the time, in some ways, it can be good. You know, if you actually have a solid thought and tweet, you know, anybody can make anything complicated.
It gives everyone a voice.
Yeah, anybody can make anything complicated, but only really intelligent people can make things simple. So I guess the really intelligent people who can narrow their entire thought down to 140 characters, Twitter is good in that sense. It can give you quick, brief updates. But sometimes, and people have learned shortcuts on how to just spam things and complain and
This is what Twitter's been for me, and what I've seen
wallowing sadness.
is depression, people talking about their boyfriends or girlfriends, talking about gaining weight, or just complaining the whole entire time. And I see there's less arguing on Twitter than it was during the presidential election, which is, it's not that hard to start an argument on Twitter during the election cycle. But I just see it as a place to troll people who are horrendously.
Yeah,
And
that's
wrote,
it.
Yeah, and I wrote a column piece, like an opinion piece about toxicity on Twitter. And let me give you a little Dell story. I won't name any names. One day on Twitter, a girl wrote a post, tweeted out that why can't men treat her well. Nicholas actually, one name I'll talk about. Nick actually responded on it and everything. And then, no, it wasn't even that, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, other people got involved with it. No, it was other things. No, not about, well, yeah, that too. And then, like, another girl responded on it and got a little bit triggered against Nicholas. But the other story I was talking about, that was the main story I'm talking about, was a girl made a claim against somebody. The person fired back, that was being attacked against, for falsely saying something that he didn't even say. And then the other person fired back. And then a person out of the blue who has very opinionated, strong conservative Republican tweeted out something, well, maybe if you just stop talking about it or talk to him, then all this will go away. What she responded back to, and her SJW followers responded back to, and the trolling just began. Obviously, the guy that was tweeting to the girls and guys was trolling, but they didn't see it because they were so infuriated in SJW land. So they didn't see it in him as trolling, which it was. But I still thought it was a low miss, since the subject was so serious and sensitive that you shouldn't really be trolling about things like that. So I was really disappointed in our school community that day, even if we're graduating. And it made me look at people differently, see how really much they change after high school ends, even so shortly after. So, yeah.
I think that speaks to sort of a social media presence where you wouldn't dare say that in person. Because here's the thought. They all got more vicious right after graduation. Right after the idea of, well, I don't have to see these people again. Exactly. You don't have to see these people anymore. If you can't say what you put on social media in a crowded room, there's a problem. If I put lyrics on my Twitter, it's probably because I'm singing them in that moment. So I'm not afraid. If I put criticism of the Democratic Party, which I frequently do, I'd say it in person too, if you know me. But I am respectful. If you notice, I think I've retweeted one tweet ever with profanity in it, and it was something about how a Vietnam vet is still going to be much more of a bad A than you ever will be. And that's it. Because there's no point in being offensive, because if you can't be the way you are on social media and in person, it means you are weak.
Everyone knows I'm politically outspoken. I've talked about it like in government class and everything. And so I mostly retweet and tweet about politics. And everything I see about Twitter is just, it's a center of what?
Argument.
Yeah, argument.
Controversy.
Yeah. Which is the center of politics.
People will drive it and drive... If you're liking a tweet just to drive controversy, don't you have anything better to do? That's my thought. It's not that you're agreeing with the tweet. It's that you just want people's lives to argue with one another. You're not looking for a more peaceful way in life. You actually want people to detest one another.
And what I see from our school is that there's only really about 4 people that I can actually discuss politics with, 5 people I can discuss politics with. Back in the election cycle last year, there was certain people that would just say, I don't like Clinton, so I'm going to vote for Trump. I don't like Trump, so I'm going to vote for Clinton. Well, Obamacare sucks. Wait, what's the Affordable Care Act? What's the difference between the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare?
That's pretty bad.
Oh, wait, they're the same thing.
Yeah, they're the same terrible thing.
So there's less of that, but I just get more triggered about people that don't know anything about politics and act like they do know it, and I think they're trolling in their own ways. But I just love the face drop of people tweeting out politics, stop talking about politics after their election, because it really shows that they didn't really give a rat's about it at all. So the 4 or 5 people that still actually do care about politics and stay together with it, like Nick and I.
Thank you.
And so the rest just drop off the face of earth and worry about the new MacBook they're going to get or something.
Well, it's all about being in the controversy.
Yeah.
It's all about flash and nothing about the substance.
All fat, no substance. So Twitter relationships, I see this being the center of Twitter sometimes, where literally some accounts will just talk about their boyfriends and girlfriends, and it's like, is this Twitter about you or someone? Oh, sorry, I saw an ISIS meme, and then do you ever have anxiety, since we're talking about relationships, and we talked about this a little bit, do you ever just have anxiety about thinking about getting into a relationship at all?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Sure, yeah.
I have it too. Because I was thinking about it a couple weeks ago. And just the thought about getting in a relationship that was possibly looming gave me anxiety. It made me frightful for obvious reasons. We talked about how people change over senior year of Twitter.
And, just diving in the Twitter more, I realize there are actual people out there who may be dealing with something, and they tweet about it. If you actually have a problem, please go to someone. Twitter is not going to be your therapy.
It's not your counselor.
It's not going to help you. Please, Grant and I both, as advocates for mental health reform and caring about people who are sad, as Grant and I, as people who want a brighter, happier world, please go to someone.
Without the SJWs.
To tweet just negative things all the time, derogatory things, things about being sad, or things that are going to make other people sad. You're not helping. Actually, you're not even being neutral. Neutral would be not tweeting anything. You're actively doing something to either diminish yourself or someone else, and you have no business doing that.
Agree. Alright, so the monologue I started with this episode, we're finally going to get to this topic. The whole hashtag CNN blackmail story. Now, I got an article I'm going to read off of, okay? It's from Gizmodo. On July 2nd, President Donald Trump tweeted out a video showing himself as he appeared in a 2007 WrestleMania event, attacking a person whose head has been replaced with CNN logo. 2 days later, CNN reporter Andrew Kiszczewski, who's SJW, and worse than Jack Tapper, who I actually think,
Jake Tapper.
Yeah, Jake Tapper, I actually think is a great journalist. He's not that left-leaning either. All right, the article quickly turned into a scandal for CNN. Trump supporters and media ethics both accused the network of blackmailing or bullying the video creator, a Reddit user calling himself Han A-hole Solo, by threatening to expose his real identity. The Intercept's Glenn Greenwald, in his version of the indictment, argued that, quote, one of the nation's most powerful media corporations is explicitly threatening a critic with exposure, end quote, and that CNN has chosen to, quote, threaten and punish a random, obscure citizen, end quote. So yeah, they're seen as just basically threatening to dox the guy, which is actually illegal. And what they were doing was actually illegal too.
CNN, who for a year referred to presidential candidate Donald Trump as a bully, used their resources to track one guy down who easily edited their logo on just some guy's face. Come on.
They spend like 4 months trying to find any evidence of Russia and all this crap, but it takes them a day to find a Reddit user. So like they can't find anything about Russia or anything, but yeah, they can find a Reddit user and actually put their like sources to good use. Now let me tell you what, okay? I might get a little angry here. CNN, I used to love and adore. I used to saw them as a good news outlet, a one that had good articles, good columns, and good opinion pieces. What they've done since 2017, especially CNN, is go so far left to SJW land that I can't even see them as a news outlet anymore. I see them as like a little online internet column piece, a little place like Breitbart or InfoWars that lives on the side of the internet that people joke about them being, oh, it's just a little site, don't worry about them. When you go over a Reddit user, the internet, when you go after the internet in general, Reddit, one of the largest sites ever, and you say, we're going to dox you if you don't comply with CNN, if you don't make a public apology, even though everyone on the internet knows that you don't mean it, you're going to get in a fight against the internet, and more memes are coming. There's a flow of memes. The new meme war 2017 has already started against CNN, and it's not just the right, it's not just the left, it's everyone going after against you, CNN. When I'm becoming a journalist in Ohio University and I get my degree for it, I will never work for you. You guys aren't even journalists anymore. The only journalist that's left is Jake Tapper, who actually provokes the truth and doesn't try to push his agenda. Everyone else in this network is always anti-Trump, anti-Republican, anti-Sessions, and they see FBI, well, used to be FBI James Director Comey, and they're with him because it might be a sliver of hope that Donald Trump gets impeached. We're going to bring law directors, House reps, senators that agree with our ideals and logics. We're not going to ask people like Dave Rubin to go on the show, even though he's a classical liberal. We're not going to ask people like James Peterson, who at Evergreen University couldn't go to class because they were having a hashtag white band day. So you are just really talking in your own echo chamber. You're talking in your own little self-bubble of SJW liberals, and the only thing you're really going to talk about is Black Lives Matter and cops shooting black people, and all cops are bad, and all these things that make the right look bad and make Donald Trump look bad and make the House look bad and the Senate look bad and the Supreme Court look bad. You want to make everyone look bad because in the end of the day, if everyone's bad, who's good? You. Well, I'm glad Donald Trump actually made this tweet. I'm actually glad Reddit user actually Han A-hole made this tweet. Because now you've been cut in a corner. You've been shown for the trolls that you are and the fake news journalists that you are. So have fun being not taken seriously probably the rest 8 years or so, because now that's what's happened. If you guys didn't make a statement, if you guys didn't respond to this at all, it would have been fine. You know, we have been a joke, people would have moved on. But since USJWs had to take everything so seriously for a dumb joke and call it violence against reporters, everyone is now laughing at you, and now you're actually the one who is evil.
What he said. That's all I've got. That was fantastic. And I know for you to use the term fake news is not easy, so I know you meant what you said.
And, like, I can't even take CNN seriously anymore. I just see them as legit fake news. And we're talking about authoritarians. Start looking at the media first. That's what CNN is. If you're thinking about starting going to a 1984 route, look at CNN. Because they're trying to silence people, and they're going to lead us into 1984 Brave New World land, okay? So CNN is actually being the authoritarians. And I would love it if we go back to liberals actually standing for liberal principles. Free thought, free speech, free economy. You know, these are actually all free liberal principles that now, like, conservatives and, like, the Republicans have taken over because the left is so far left, they don't actually have any actual liberal principles left. So start looking in the mirror, CNN, when you get like the bruises off of your face because Donald Trump beat you up so bad, in WrestleMania, and start really looking at yourself and try to find those actual liberal principles again, because I found the left now so disfranchised of themselves with identity politics and virtue signaling that now they're actually not aligned with the left anymore. They're more aligned with Antifa, which they never really covered anyway. You had to go to people like Orange Southern and Dave Rubin to actually cover Antifa, because they're actually a terrorist organization. And you're not looking at what was that Muslim lady that?
Linda Sarsour?
Yeah, Linda Sarsour. Actually start looking at her. Yeah, actually start looking at her, because when she made the comment about jihad against the Trump administration, you guys said, well, she's not actually calling against jihad against Trump, you know? Like, that word can be flexible. Maybe you start... Now, if a Republican said that, as a Republican, like, even you're going even against your own people like Bill Maher that are liberals, but not so far left with you like Dave Rubin. Like Dave Rubin and Bill Maher, they're not even on your level yet. So now whenever they make a statement that was trying to be funny, but it wasn't, it landed face first on the ground, you guys have to go against him, and you're going against your own people. And that's what I'm talking about, like the left eating themselves. So, yeah, I mean, that's like basically it. How about instead of playing this identity politics and virtue signaling, you guys start taking things for face value, like you guys said in your quote. So when Linda Sarsour makes a comment saying we need to have a jihad against President Trump's administration, maybe you should see that as an act of terrorism and a threat against the president, and start looking for these left free thought people and loving everybody, and not all Muslims are bad, and start looking at the people that actually want to hurt America.
Find your way as a media source. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna quote Trey Gowdy, who is now head of the House Oversight Committee. The media enjoys special privileges within the Constitution. The right to free speech covers Well, the right to free speech and freedom of the press covers the media. They're one of the few groups who has specific privileges within the Constitution. And there's a reason for that. They are responsible to report accurate things to the people. Without a responsible media, there isn't a responsible republic. But with an irresponsible media, there is irresponsible government. Simply put, you enjoy special privileges because you are supposed to be a part of oversight. This is not oversight. This is targeting. You don't get to have a double bias in the media. People can.
You can't blackmail Reddit users.
You can't bully around citizens. You enjoy special privileges. Act like it.
I hope the other media takes a lesson from this and tries to be less like CNN. And I mean, they're just like a laughing stock now. If I was Jake Tapper, I'll start looking for another job. Oh yeah. All right, so G20 summit, Nick. I want to let you lead off on this. The G20 summit.
G20 summit. So basically,
explain what it is.
The G20 is it's the group of the 20 most industrial nations of the world. So naturally, the United States is there. But basically, that they meet and they discuss trade and the state of the world. Really, it was held in Hamburg, Germany this year. So right up Angela Merkel's alley. I'm sorry, Angela Merkel's alley. But before that, Trump had previously spoken in Poland and actually did very well there. And I actually can't believe I have a Washington Post article up, considering how democracy dies in darkness. But it's pretty sunny out to me. Okay, yeah, that deserves a lot. That's funny. Yeah, however, you have certain leaders who, and when we talk about, the European Union, which includes a lot of the G20 members, there are different things you have to look at. Though most other nations are left-wing compared to the United States, they are not left-wing in the sense that they support all left-wing ideals. If you look at the French election between, what was her name? Well, Macron and, okay, go ahead, look it up. Leader of the French National Front.
Was this 2006?
Marine Le Pen. Yeah, Marine Le Pen. Le Pen only gained an edge in that election by having hard left economic stuff. So Macron is he's a economic centrist almost. He has pro-capitalist ideals. So they're not completely economically left-wing. So there are grounds they can build upon. Although I don't actually think a lot got done in this meeting. A big deal was made over how Trump and Putin met for the first time in person since he's been president. But of course, we all know they met before to plan how to win the election. Despite any evidence of that happening, of the Trump campaign using Putin to win, we all know it's true, right?
I'm a senator from South Carolina, Jeff Sessions, and I've been tangling around with Russian officials, and me and him are best friends.
Anyway, a big deal was made over the first time they met and the handshake, which I can understand the handshake on one point. Trump has this weird handshake at times.
Yeah, like Poles.
About probably as awkward as Obama's typical bow. He'd bow to every leader, and sometimes like leaders would look at him like, "What are you doing?" But President Obama, I'm sorry. However,
you can't say he's a bad president, otherwise you're racist.
Identity politics, yeah. Tribalism. But however, I don't think a lot actually got done at this meeting besides just a few talking points were hit. Things to look out for, though, outside of the G20. Japan and the EU have signed a trade deal, or are about to sign a trade deal that will rival NAFTA. So that'll be interesting in how that coerces with the world. China has a spot at the table, which is dangerous because although not a lot of people see this, but I personally have the belief that right now our biggest threat is China.
It's ISIS.
I would agree that ISIS is our most imminent threat. Our most imminent threat is probably the Islamic State and how it will spread and grow in different ways, especially as we continue to crush it. Because eventually, once the Islamic State knows it can't win on the ground it already has, it will travel somewhere to at least cause as much problems as possible. But I do think our biggest threat right now is China economically and how they're taking over their region of the world. They're going to corner the market, and they're going to try and undermine America's position in every way possible.
ISIS is Obama's fault. Just want to say that right now.
But yeah. So G20, not much went down.
Well, a lot of protesting happened. It was like just like a black mob, not like actually black. Well, I guess like some black people were there, but it was Antifa. You think Antifa is like bad in America? Antifa's been like brewing for like 10, 15 years in Europe, since like the whole like open immigration policy. I've been talking with Elijah with this. He's always talking about open immigration and they need to close their borders and have like kind of like a genocide. He doesn't say there's a genocide that needs to happen, but they're gonna have a next Hitler if like they don't.
What the? Okay, yeah, I can see that. He warns that if there isn't some leeway given, there will be some sort of uprising. He always says revolution. In my opinion, I just think that's going to mean a drastic change in how people vote. I don't think it'd be a violent revolution. I think it will be the kind of revolution that you have in a republic and/or
Like Brexit?
well, I'm sorry, a more democracy, because there is a difference. And if you're one of those people who say, "Oh, people getting all heated about how I say democracy when we're a republic," well, you're wrong. That's kind of like calling an apple a banana. There are key differences. They're both fruit, but I mean, you don't leave a teacher a banana on their desk traditionally. It's an apple, that sort of thing. So, but the Michael Scott quote, "Sometimes I start a sentence and I don't really know where it was going." What were we talking about, Grant?
Yeah, we were just about Antifa.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so the riots outside there. You're burning a freaking car about the industrial world. What does that mean? That's not and it bothers me again. And it's just like the democracy republic thing when people say protesting. If you lit a car on fire and it's not your car, you are a rioter. You are not a protester. You like to riot. You are specifically, you're not out there to actually accomplish a point. It doesn't make sense. You don't dissent from an ideal by torching a car. There's a difference. There is a time for violent revolution. I do believe we fired upon British troops at some point in order to establish America, but that was because of an entire corruption of government, not because of just one ideal. And so here we have maybe Antifa just not liking how certain policies are going, so they torch stuff to get attention. It's not an argument. Violence isn't an argument. Burning things isn't an argument. So you are not protesters. You are rioters.
Agreed. They are either totalitarianism. Yeah, or authoritarianists. They're the actual fascists, and they look like Snake Cobra henchmen from G.I. Joe. But yeah. CNN analyst who advised Nixon and Reagan praises Trump on Putin meeting, saying, quote, "This is presidential." Yeah, he did pretty presidentially, I thought. It wasn't like in true Trump fashion.
He and Putin had an hour and 45-minute long meeting, which my sources say is a very, very long time compared to how most foreign leaders meet for maybe half an hour to 45 minutes. So they clearly had a bunch of stuff to discuss. I don't know what they.
Do you think they discussed North Korea at all?
Oh, I definitely think they discussed North Korea. The North Korean regime is out of hand.
What does China need to do? There's going to be something changed.
China isn't going to do anything.
But
yeah,
if they stop trade deals with them, right?
China's not going to, because North Korea is China's pet. I'm sorry, it's China's negotiation attack dog. They let North Korea run its way until it creates a problem, until the dog looks a little too violent, and they say, well, in exchange, if you do this for us, we'll call our dog back in. We'll make sure they knock this off. It's like it's a cycle of they let North Korea do something, U.S. concedes concedes some sort of award or grants some sort of permission, or they renegotiate a deal, and China tells North Korea to knock it off, or we'll cut your food supply, we'll cut your coal supply, that sort of thing. So that China absolutely wants the North Korea regime to survive, and nor do they want the South Korean regime to maybe take over the rest of the peninsula and have a pro-capitalistic democratic nation right next door to them.
Why do you think we always say that we can turn North Korea? Is it true that we can turn North Korea to glass shards if we wanted to?
I mean, if we wanted to blow them up, we are more than capable.
With the atomic bombs?
Correct. It's just, people actually hold back when using, weapons of mass destruction.
All right. Local news. Nick, hit me up with some local news. What you got here?
Local news. So, the stadium for the Lakewood Stadium is set to be complete on date, which I believe is August 19th. There'll be a ceremony that day. They've got the home stands and the away stands in. The track is in. Or not the track. No, the track is in. And the field is in. They're still building the opening, the grand entrance kind of thing. It's now up to $2.8 million. So that cost has not been cut, despite concerns of several board members, which will be kind of scary because I now work in the treasurer's office where people come to pay their taxes. And when people go to pay their taxes, some of them are really not happy about the idea of having a couple levies up for Lakewood, and also some school board elections this November. So
bye, Mary Kay.
We don't know if that'll be a problem or not. It'll be a big issue. The key will be if that stadium starts impressing people right away, and they can shrug off $2.8 million.
It looks all right.
It'll be good. It'll be a nice mark on our campus. We also have a 30. Right now the primary lead for the new elementary school is $38 million, tearing down both Jackson Intermediate buildings, and all of that back playground area and that back, as the cross country team calls it, the labyrinth, and putting a giant K-5 building in.
No!
And buying farmland in order to build this building.
No! Let's protest against that. I love the labyrinth. I have so much fond memories there in 8th grade track.
It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we are looking to deforest our campus even more.
No.
Which, I mean,
we
need to plant trees is what we also need to do, because honestly our campus just looks barren. It's just a bunch of grass. It's mostly flat. It floods. It needs trees. It needs stuff to make it look more inviting.
When the power goes out, we don't use those solar panels.
But they'll also put the central district office in that area next to the parking lot. So everything will be consolidated in one campus, with the exception of the bus garage staying where it is.
140.
And the total cost of the project, including then updates to the high school and middle school, I believe is roughly $45 million, which they will need to put up a bond levy. So I think that's 2 or 3 levies that have to go through the school, which I can tell you folks right now, school districts take anywhere from 45 to 70% of your property taxes, all depending on where you live and how you pay. Buckeye Lake. Buckeye Lake's growing. Actually, you know what, Grant, you want to keep going laughing? Or do you have any comments?
I'm going to tell you right now, prediction. None of those levies are going to pass.
Lakewood has a history of not passing levies.
Prediction. Quote me on it right now. Season 1 finale of Grant's Rants. Quote me right now. None of those levies are going to be passed. We're not going to get a new elementary school. That's it.
There are 3 school board positions up in November. There's either a levy this year or next year, and they'd have to add a bond levy. Mary Kay's contract is up in
Another
2018.
prediction.
It has to be renewed. There's a lot of change that could be happening around the school. Mrs. Stein got renewed as principal of the high school, I think, for 2 more years.
That's good. Prediction. Never prediction.
Our football coach left.
Mary Kay is going to be...
But I don't blame him because I think he needs... I think with a new family, if he had a better position, I absolutely support him going to a place that would give him more opportunities to provide for his family. Well, our football team will do all right.
Yeah, we're doing okay. Another prediction. Mary Kay will leave Lakewood this year. Quote me on it.
We will see. I don't know. I think she's made so many changes, she doesn't want to leave.
But not a lot of friends.
Short drive to work. I don't know if she cares about making friends.
Or snow days. Snow days. Which we had an episode on. All right, Buckeye Lake. What's up? What's happening with some Buckeye Lake?
Right now the lake's allowed to fill approximately 1 foot below winter pool or 1 foot below summer pool, which is basically the height of the max of the lake that it's allowed to get before ODNR opens up the floodgates and lets some water out. And the reason it's 1 foot below is because the earthen dam that ODNR and the Army Corps of Engineers built up to block from the original earthen dam is a foot below full pool. So people are out there boating. Businesses are finally starting to get money again. And that's good because the lake region really suffered with the amount of bureaucracy that was involved in trying to do something about it. They are dredging the lake. There was a pipe or something to dredge the lake that there was only like 1 or 2 buoys out, so it wrecked a bunch of people's boats and then also broke the dredge pipe. So that was pretty bad. And the reason the dredging isn't done is because earlier they drained the lake so much the dredge boat got stuck.
Oh.
So these sorts of things are happening where it's not really a coordinated movement, and that's a problem when you have a state agency who's responsible for many other things. 3 counties are involved, multiple municipalities. There isn't really one group dedicated to that has the authority over the lake, that has all of their attention on the lake. It's either the lake is just part of their there are groups that either the lake is part of their problem or it's not entirely up to them. Perry County will be getting a boat dock actually right down the road from my neighborhood, so I'm excited about that. That'll be cool.
Wanna get you a boat?
It's been, I don't know about that, but it'd be nice if I did. I'll take my canoe out maybe. But it's been sitting as basically empty land, and the state and county bought it, and they're gonna get a nice port put in there. So that'll bring some business over to that side. So I think all of that cheap land around that area will now build up even more. I honestly think that there might be some like popular chain restaurants that'll come in like within 10 minutes of my house now.
What about Cane's? Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna make a controversial statement right now. Lee's chicken fingers tenders are better than Cane's
You're
chicken
gonna make
tenders.
our ratings drop.
No, the ratings are gonna go up because I'm saying controversial stuff like Alex Jones.
Oh snap!
Sandy Hook. It happened. Okay. Newark Square. You've been working there recently. What's happened in the good Newark Square? Is the construction done yet with the courthouse? They said it was supposed to be done this year. This summer.
I think it's either done this summer or next summer. If you go down and look at it, it's really beautiful. I posted some pictures of the surrounding area.
I haven't been there in a while.
The basic idea is if you start off at the original train station, there's a path that you walk up that actual people coming to Newark in 1876 when the courthouse was built, that's the view they would see. With the gold-domed courthouse, the building will be remodeled white, the clocks will be polished, and basically you walk through the market district. There's paintings of what Newark used to be on murals of what Newark used to be on buildings, local shops now. So it's really there's this rebirth of what is technically the heart of Licking County, as it is the county seat. Sparta's closed permanently. It's now an apartment complex.
No!
There still are other venues along the square. There's nice places to eat all throughout our county.
And drink.
But most people go to Cane's. But there are some great places to still go. You know, you got your lake places like Papa Boo's. If you want something a little more formal, you go Island House.
What's Island House?
The Island House is over in Millersport. It's over on Leibs Island. It's a quaint little place.
What's the beef and what's like the bistro place that Barefoot McCoy always plays at? Let me go.
I'm not sure. Also around the lake, you have the
Fifth
port.
Element. That's what it's called.
The port, which is pretty good on the lake, is barbecue centered. Captain Woody's is under new ownership, and so I heard the food was going better there. There are a couple other secret places that if you ask me in person, I can tell you where to go eat, only because they're places that don't definitely serve food, but they do if you request it. And so those are like the secret little places you gotta
What'd you
know
get
about.
at Sparta's that was like not on the menu?
I always got the crispy chicken sandwich with pepper jelly, and they cook it off the menu. But if I went in, I could request off the menu item, and they'd make it for me. So you know, if you go into these places enough, you build a rapport. And I actually don't eat out that much.
I'm trying not to.
But in Newark, you've got some good places like Barrel and Boar. You've got
What's that place?
It's a barbecue place on the square. It's not quite a chain, but there's one at like Polaris or Easton Town Center somewhere in there. There's one in Newark. There's the soda shop if you want to get some premium soda. It's open Tuesdays, Fridays. They always have a food truck out front. There's the Farmers Market, which happens every Friday in Newark through sometime in October. And there's a gyro place just down the block from the square. The Golden Walk. Some people don't like it. Some people do. I like it. I also like Dragon Village in
You need to take me to
Buckeye
Golden
Lake.
Walk.
Golden Walk's pretty good. Yeah,
been-
Grant and I go places and just eat. We actually have a giant friend group and we go and try different places. Moe's Barbecue's pretty good.
Element was the restaurant that I was called. It's a local.
The Element. Yes, the Element is built into the hotel right there, and that's down by it's not quite where the Newark Advocate building is, but it's kind of down in there. And then so in further episodes, you know, maybe when we hit in the season 2 this summer, we'll be talking about other places to eat. Summer fun, basically. And it's a little late to be talking about that, but we don't care because summer continues.
31 West is a music place.
So there's a lot of cool stuff that we'll be bringing to you about local things, not just politics. And that's what Grant really likes the show to be. Encompass from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom. Everything. So
And the bop.
The boom and the bop. Yep.
Alright, so yeah, we got basically everything done. Well, guys, thank you for listening to the show. Let's see how long we've been running. 1 hour and 8 minutes. That's pretty good.
Further suggestions, as always, you can DM the Twitter account, which is at @Grants_rants or @Rants.
No, it's @_Grants Rants.
That's what it is. Yes. So please, I believe the DMs are open. So please DM the account. We'll be. That's where we post updates of the show, the links to the YouTube, and please keep listening in. We love you guys.
You can follow Nick at what is it?
At Mr_NJN7.
And you can follow me at Richie_Grant. No, it's I forget my own Twitter. Yeah, it's at Richie_Grant. Follow our YouTube channel. You guys are following us on this. Subscribe, like, share it with your friends. Remember, you can also